Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. I want to welcome all of you here today. Let's go. We got a bunch of that can't hear well like that. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're running a little bit over, but we don't have a whole lot on the agenda today, so we shouldn't be pressed for time, other than the fact that some of us have got some other duties to do immediately following this meeting. So, did everybody get a copy of the minutes of the previous meeting? Do I have any corrections, or I hear a motion that we accept them as mail? Got a motion and a second. Second, Otis, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. I want to welcome Jeff Bobo with the Kingsport Times News, and Allison Goley with the Rogersville Review, Ken Smith with the University of Tennessee's Economic Development Group, Glenn Hutchins with the city, Nancy Barker with the chamber, Calvin Clifton with Mattern and Craig, and Jerry Young with TCAT. So we've got a good group with us today. We've got a really good quorum today, also of board members. I appreciate your all attendance. One mention that Rebecca reminded me of this morning is that one of our board members is in the hospital. He's supposed to get out today. Is Phil Barrett is having some issues, so we need to remember Phil in prayer, and hopefully he's doing well. You want to do the Secretary Treasurer's report, Rebecca?
It was a really difficult one. It took me a long time. We had a beginning balance on January 23rd of $15,056.50. No deposits, one check for $2,870.94, leaving a balance of $12,185.56. One CD for $6,170.96.
Okay. Any questions of Rebecca concerning the financials? If not, I hear a motion that we accept these for our records. We've got a motion, Pat, second. Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. As far as old business goes, at the last meeting I reported that we were doing an archaeological review of the site. We're trying to, just to refresh everyone's memory, we're trying to get a site together of approximately 100 acres at Phipps Bend, ready for, trying to get that thing shovel ready, and so it can be marketed as the full site. And some of the issues, as you recall, where the sewage line that goes directly cuts the site basically right down the middle. A possibility of not removing it, but probably leaving it in the ground, but having the sewer site come around the side. The huge ditch that is in the middle of it, or on the, I guess, the southern end of the site, filling it in. And I'll go back to that in a minute, what we found out when we met with some folks. But some other issues that came up about that was the archaeological survey. And TVA was kind enough to give us all a stack of paperwork that they had on archaeological issues up there. And so we commissioned a study that Mattern and Craig did for us, and I've got a copy of it if you'd like to see it. Basically pointing out where those sites are at. There's actually a map on the end of it showing where the archaeological sites are. And so we had a meeting about 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks.
They brought in a really sharp guy from TVA to talk with us. That's not sure what level he is in TVA, but he's really high up in dealing with issues involving economic development sites and getting sites like this approved and ready to market. And he brought up a litany of different issues to be looked at, and proposed that the possibility of getting a invest prep application together for TVA, but also getting an SDG round 2 application together for the state.
SDG being site development grant.
Right.
Yes, that's the one we had just got. And
Right. And that grant application is due tomorrow
the invest prep.
for the invest prep. And so we had this meeting with the networks, with Madden and Craig, with the First Tennessee Development District, with TVA, and anybody else that I've left out. It was quite a lengthy meeting going over every issue to get this thing resolved, and there's quite a group of them. And so we asked for Madden and Craig to go back and submit to us just to give you, and I'll go through these one by one, but basically to price it, and then we'll go and see if we can get the grant money. The first one being tomorrow. Threatened and endangered species survey. Anytime you're dealing with federal monies, federal property, you have to do one of those. Cultural and archaeological survey. They brought up about the water supply, the fact that the site is served by the Scoresville Utility District, and they don't have enough water to supply the site for a large water user, but they're connected to the First Utility District. Problem is, we got 12-inch water main lines through the park, but it's fed by 4-inch water between them and the First Utility District. So you don't have to be a water engineer to figure out that if you're trying to supply a 12-inch line with a 4-inch hose, you're not going to get too far. So that's has to be looked at. The drainage ditch relocation. Anytime if you're going to fill it up, you got to get the dirt from somewhere. Anytime you're getting dirt, we think we can get it off our own property up there, but the study has to be made as to where you're getting the dirt and what you're going to do with it after you get it. So, and then we've got the as I mentioned, the sanitary sewer relocation. And then they brought up about, they had looked at 4 different ways for the rail to get back to this site in case it needed rail. And TVA felt like 2 of those were just unreasonable or unattainable, so they wanted to I guess, clear up on the 2 lines that could possibly come in to come down to one of those being the one to go with. So somebody has to do some study on that. And then the site grading plan. And so we had asked Madden and Craig to come together with a proposal for us to look at to apply for both the Invest Prep application and the site development grant through the state, and then possibly going with Appalachian Regional Commission or some of these others looking at maybe the water situation. So we got this in, we got a conference call immediately following this meeting to fine tune this thing, to try to get the development district, through Ken's help and Bill's help, to get this application in by tomorrow. This would require about what was the amount of local funds?
Well, it was 5%,
It's
but
5%, but there was some other,
So
it
depends,
actually went
yeah.
down a little bit, so somewhere from 5,000 to 15,000 of local money that we would have to put in to get the 250,000 of grant money, so all that's going on. And we'll get back to you as soon as we know more about that, like I say, as soon as we get through this meeting. Is any other questions about what's going on with that? What you're gonna end up with is, if we can pull this thing together, you'll have the largest shovel-ready industrial site in East Tennessee. And that really gets you some, a lot going for you when you can put this together and say, we can put this project together. All you gotta do is come in, show us what you want, what size building. We get TVA to show that on the site, with their technology using the abilities that they have, and we can show them what the building would look like, where it would sit on the site. Any issues like that with Helper Mattern and Craig and TVA, we can really have something to go to the market with. So all that's going on. Rebecca just got back from a day on the hill. I understand Robbie you were down there on with a different group, but the 108th annual meeting of the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce, and I think Mattern and Craig was there, along with Networks was there, and I just spoke with Ronnie Price there on the way down to entertain some folks this evening. When the legislature is in session, you've got all kinds of receptions and things going on, and so it's a time when you try to get down there and make your wishes known to the legislators and the different ones that are involved with state monies and things. So they're down there on our behalf trying to get everybody going on that. So, Lynn, we appreciate you coming in with the state ECD. And so, anyway, we had that going on this week. Let's see, what else is next on, as I mentioned, I talked to Ronnie. Ronnie was telling me that, that's the reason they're not here today, is they're all down there just doing what they do best. But he was telling me, to let you all know that they've sent out about 2 RFPs for Phipps Bend just in the last week, so there is some activity. I'm not sure what's gonna happen if you keep up with the stock market. You see what's going on with the coronavirus, and you could just about plunge this country into a recession over rumors and what's going on in China. And hopefully our president's correct and it won't make it to our shores in much of a panic type situation, but it's certainly affected the stock market for sure. And I'm sure if it continues at any length of time, you're going to see companies that, I don't want to say every company, but there's very few companies in the United States that does not do business with China. I mean, every piece of clothes, every apparatus you get's got some China input in it, and it's really affecting the economy. And I don't know, like I say, 3 days in a row, the stock market has dropped like a rock, and so we'll see how it goes. And you concerned about the disease and everything, but, it just seems like an extreme measure to take until something actually, does show up on our shores, but, it's tough. We met with, we had a Phipps Bend joint venture meeting last week, and, going over some of the same items that we just, brought to your all's attention. But one item that came up, Jim Elshy with the, track and field program at Volunteer came, you know, they had a, cross-country track and field meet up there 3 years ago or something like that. And we didn't have a real good experience with that. They left, porta potties, was there 2 or 3 years before we finally had to have them taken out ourselves. And we explained to him that we really didn't have the personnel or anybody to watch what all's going on there. And but anyway, we're going to revisit that. He has supplied some information. We're going to talk with Jerry with the TCAT Center. You know, you want to be as accommodating as you can, but our main thrust at Phipps Bend is for industrial recruitment, and so if we can accommodate him, we will. We're going to look at it seriously and see what we come up with. And they're wanting to, I guess, run through the wetlands area down through there, and but to bring you up to speed on that, and Curry may have more information on that than I do, but I was down there after the last big rainy spell, and the water was right up at the road. The road is rutted out down through there. It's gonna require something. I don't know what it's gonna take, but I know we rented a backhoe, got in there, and let me just let Curry tell you what all they've done.
We rented a small track hoe from the co-op, and they were able to get it open enough that those 7 overflow drains, which are about 10 to 12 inches each, opened up to about, I don't know, half the volume of each, and it lowered the water level about 10 inches over the course of 2 or 3 days. Of course, you're draining about 50 acres when that's full.
Yeah.
When they would dip in there and try to work it, they couldn't get all of it out and couldn't see the pond was immediately muddy. So we're gonna have to go back and revisit again, probably June or whenever all this wet weather is over, and the water, some of it will just leach out through the soil naturally, so that they can dig back beneath that to get better flow through those areas, and hopefully we can get out to a valve on a much larger pipe that goes beneath there and open it. We don't know if it's been closed or if it's obstructed with debris. There was if you all have been in that bottom, there was an old ramp that had a wooden deck that went out there, and all that wooden deck has rotted out, so you'd have to walk an I-beam out to it and fashion some sort of platform to work off of. So we're going to have some attenuation of all this wet weather before we can go further and before we can find out more. But there's been some relief. There's been quite a bit of unnecessary traffic on the road down there. Some of it is kids driving around one of the gates. We can't seem to fashion a way to get that where and they're just going down joyriding, and there's some adults, I'm sure, that have been doing it as well. There's a number of ways that you can get around some of the gates where they're going in, and during this type of weather and the soil and material that's in that service road is lending to rutting.
Right.
So it wouldn't do any good right now, and they might hang up a truck, but it probably needs several 100 tons of gravel placed on its service roads. So we gotta find a way to pay for that and speak with Lowell and, at the highway department and go from there. And maybe some more ways to obstruct and maybe some enforcement about some of these kids finding ways around the road that we're trying to have limited travel on. These are the very roads that we want bicyclists and walkers and horse riders to have access to, but we don't need vehicular traffic other than for service road use for maintenance and that sort of thing.
Well, I had met with Paul one morning here, and he was talking about possibly putting another drainage ditch in with a more direct route to the river. Did he talk to you about that?
No.
Lowell, he said that Lowell had not done that yet, but that he was gonna talk with Lowell and see when he'd come back. Because of all the rain and stuff, it's just been,
Well,
flooded
this is
and
2
muddy
years in a
and-
row of just seemed like constant rain. And, so we've got a mess down there that they, with photographs pointed out to us that it is difficult to maintain when you got a part-time employee, and that's all we've got, so. And right now, it's in no position to let anybody in there because of the wetness and the potholes, and like you say, it's a muddy mess all the way around through there. But anyway, just to let you know, we are looking at that again to try to, if it's something that's really, desired, that we can do it with minimal disruption. We're gonna try to do it, so we'll see how that goes. We've got one company that's contacted us, they contacted the state that is expanded, and they don't wanna be named at this time, but we are working through a process to help them get, grant funds that are available when you do, fairly major expansion. And so that's good news, and so, hopefully that will take place here in the next few weeks, and we can make an announcement about that one. Rebecca, what else, are we, you think of anything? We've got, we've got a board position open. We've got ballots ready. Is there a need to wait another month on this, or do you all wanna, we've had two, people that have been proposed by the board for, recommendation to the, county commission at their next meeting. One of those is Glenn Hutchins, the other one is Jeffrey Scott Rutledge. Do you wanna hold it, there's no rush on this thing, we can hold that, if you've got other names that you might want to submit, we can hold off for another month, or we can do it today, it's the pleasure of the board.
Was there a third prospect that was?
There was a third prospect, but after looking at the bylaws and everything, we had to, remove that one. You can't be an elected official or anything like that and serve on this board, and so, so that eliminated that.
Thank you.
Does anyone wanna wait? You ready to vote? If so, pass them out and we'll turn them in and,
Give me a handful of them, 3 anyway.
as you know, anytime we have a vacancy open, we take recommendations from the board, we require them to have a resume, and so you can look it over and evaluate who you'd like to have, and so both of these, I'm sure, are great candidates. Have a lot of experience and education, and I'm sure either one would make a great board member. So you can take that top sheet, mark your druthers down and fold it up, send it up to Rebecca, and we'll let her give you the results. Does anyone else have anything while we're awaiting the results of the title? Yes, Ken.
I had, sent a message to Rebecca, the Hancock County High School is trying to have a little job fair later this month, and I don't know how many people come across the mountain to work here in Hawkins County, but, if there are any manufacturers that do recruit from over there,
Oh, okay.
it would be nice to send them that
Get
way.
the word out.
And Rebecca has the information.
Well, I'm sure, the majority of folks that live in Hancock County work in either Hawkins or Granger or, mostly Hamlin. And so, I'm sure we'll get the word out to the industries here locally that they're having a job fair, and I'm sure there'll be some that will want to participate. At one of the meetings that we've attended, lately, they were talking about a regional job fair. Rebecca, remind me of, is that gonna be in Bristol?
Yes, that's in Bristol. I'd have to look, I'll have to look
Well,
it up.
but just to let you know, we had a local job fair at Phipps Bend, and one of the desires when we met with the industry at Phipps Bend at our biannual meeting that we have up there was a request to, for more applications and
If
things.
I'm not mistaken, that was it's gonna be in April,
This was-
After the rest.
okay.
Okay, this was gonna be a big regional, employment job fair, and, we would want to participate, and I know we've got several industries in Hawkins County that want to participate in that, so, we're getting the word out on it to all the industries for that, so, cause we gotta have, we got the jobs, we just need people to fill them now. And, Jerry, you have anything going on at TCAT?
Just update everybody on the training, excuse me, at our Phipps Bend campus up there. We've got 65 right now that have signed up for one of the training programs that's being offered through that grant. Folks from AGC, Barak Forge, Cooper, HDK, Hutchinson, Miyake, Samdong, and ZF. We're still working on a little bit of the paperwork for a couple of those companies. You know how sometimes it gets into corporate legal, they kick that around before they'll sign something, but we're looking at kicking that training off in April. And the way the grant is written, as long as we get them signed up before the end of June, we can continue to train through the end of the year. So that's what we're in the process, just trying to get all those HR managers together so I can get a training schedule. That's actually been the hardest part. They're very busy and I appreciate that, but that looks good. We are gonna have to wait till after the accreditation visit to get that truck driving program, use the proper term, rolling up there. We didn't get everything we needed in. And so that's going to delay it a little bit, but probably that may give me an opportunity to reach out for some more grant money or something like that. Many of y'all know that's one of the most expensive programs that a TCAT offers. That's usually $150,000 a year program, not even counting the initial purchasing of the equipment. So we're going to be looking for grants, but we're still on board. We've got some corporate support, company support for what we're wanting to do up there. I know we've got local support, And, so we're still moving towards that goal, it's just not gonna be as quick as I would have liked.
Oh,
There's I understand that the school is pretty well full enrollment wise.
Enrollment.
Has there been any discussion about expanding the campus for other things besides the truck driving car?
We're looking at expansion in there, our main campus, because we've got one started at the main campus. And then in Greenville, we've got a building that Greenville owns that they're looking at letting us use. But right now, I would say across the state of Tennessee, there's gonna be, I think, expansion money, poured in for TCAT expansion. So, yes, the short answer to that is yes. The long answer is it takes a long time to get money and get a building project going, but
Okay,
that's, the short answer is yes. I'll look to expand anywhere I get an opportunity.
okay.
well, following up on that, that was one of Governor Lee's big issues was rural education and vocational education. So we got both of them there, so hopefully they'll get behind that and do the expansion.
And I was just looking, I knew I had a note here somewhere, but of the Governor Lee's give grant, I believe Hawkins County is getting about $120,000 of that money. We're already seeing equipment come in to our campus. I think we've delivered a piece to $60,000 CNC machine to Cott County High School. I know there was a truck pulling in on campus today with more equipment. So we got our orders in early to get the equipment so we could get that in the school systems before summer. And I'm hopeful we'll get finished, get that rolled out.
Jerry does a great job for us. Appreciate all his help and all that he does. Lynn, do you have anything from the state of Tennessee?
Just running. We had an interesting day on the Hill. I know that, the governor spoke again and reiterated his, his support of all things economic development, so, and particularly his support for rural counties, so.
Well, hopefully we can see that come to fruition, that's for sure. Nancy, anything you know of? Chamber?
Rebecca and I worked on a marketing promotion grant that we turned in last week, so we're hoping to be able to get that. And it's through ECD, and one of the things that we wanted to do was get some information on the city site, the industrial site, and work so that we can refer it back to your all site. And talking about education, the Department of Board of Education this morning hosted a chamber meeting, and he's probably gonna be getting hold of you, because he had some new ideas that he's working on. The virtual academy, they were hoping for 20 students, they got 65. So that's really good news. They're having a shortage of teachers, so one of the things that they're wanting to do is grow your own. So they're gonna try to start a program to do that, so that's gonna be helpful for us as a community as we're working on education for workforce. And I was trying to think.
We're trying to expand the career and technical, get more students and more
Yes.
industries involved, and give internships
Yes.
to these high school students to get that job experience and make sure they like what they want to go into. So it was real promising what they were doing on that.
Well, that's great. Calvin, do you have any words of wisdom?
You pretty much covered everything that we're, trying to get prepared to submit on the grant. As Lynn said, it's been a good week in Nashville. Was there myself, and I can tell you that the Phipps Bend site's getting a lot of attention, not only in East Tennessee, but also in Nashville.
That's good.
The magnitude of the site is extraordinary. The fact that it's a rural county, in an at-risk county, the emphasis that the governor's office has placed on the rural development and so on, it's getting a lot of attention. I think that bodes well for the grant applications that we're submitting.
Right. Sounds great. Kerry?
Couple of things. The first one is about 30 years ago, Ronnie got some money and we did landscaping down the highway to give the park sort of a boulevard effect.
Right.
Many of those plantings, trees, shrubs have, either by drought or disease, have died. Several need to be removed now. And if we want to continue that, I would, because it's a pretty expensive deal to do, I would like to ask this group if they would like to, continue that by replacing maybe 3 or 4 of those pieces each year, putting it as a line item in the budget and under landscaping. To wholesale do it would be thousands of dollars. They probably need to be installed if it's done in November, because we don't really have anybody to water them and see to them. But a lot of those have in decline. Maybe we don't need to do as many as we've done before, but I'd like to see maybe a show of hands if they want to continue that, or just cut down the ones we have as they get in trouble.
If my memory serves me correctly, we got a $25,000 grant, and Forest Landscaping actually at that time went in there and put all those in. And they ran down the island that separates the roads there, and then put some trees out along the roads on down through there with that amount of money. We got another $25,000 grant to do those pines to try to block out the
View of the reactor building.
reactor vessel building, and those have done pretty well. But like I say, that's been 25, 30 years ago. So it may be something that we could look at, because that comes out of a total different budget. It may be something we could look at and apply for again. So,
You remember when we bought the old building up there, didn't we tear that down with some of that money? Up towards the highway?
no, we just tore it down just in the last little bit. Is that? No.
Where you come off the highway?
Yeah.
The old restaurant.
Huh?
Is he talking about the old restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It's
just
been
did.
tore down a long time.
No, it's
No.
just been within the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, we just took the money. I forget how much it was, but Phipps Bend
It was
joint venture
around
paid for.
$3,500 for that building and the other building that was inside the park.
We tore it down with those. It's about $3,500 to bulldoze them down and haul everything off.
So you think there might be grant money instead of doing it piecemeal out of the operating budget?
This is in a different, arborist type grant that we got. We'll do some research on that and see what we come up with. There may be, it's been a long time since we tried to access that particular type of grant, and that might be something that we'll do some looking into that.
I think that's important that, just going in on first
It
impression.
is, it's everything. It really is.
Larry,
Kenny?
a comment on that. Our factory, I worked for NN Ball and Roller in Irwin for 20 years, and we had a factory in China, and they called it a village, this city, but it was several million people and just growing like gangbusters. But the road from the village or the city out to the industrial area was, how when you drive into Disney World and it's just manicured on both sides? Well, that's how it was. And it wasn't a small undertaking either. It was probably 100 feet on each side of the road
Yeah.
for miles out the industrial park, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like going into a top level amusement park. It was beautiful. So I often think about that when I'm driving. We got this nice 4-lane from Johnson City to Elizabeth, and where I live in Carter County, and trash will lay out there for months before where it comes and gets picked up, and I'm thinking this is our entrance in to investors or
Oh, yeah.
potential investors driving through here on vacation or whatever, and that's what they see trash, and I think about what, China looks like.
We're, you know, our part-time maintenance people, they spend more time picking up trash from the 4 lane out there in than they do bush hogging and doing all the other things that need to be done.
8 to 10 bags a week.
It's 8 to 10, those big trash bags a week. I don't understand it. I mean, we talk with the plant managers and different things up there. It's just amazing why people can't take it to a receptacle is beyond me, but they do. They just eat it, throw it out the window, and then we have to go along and pick it up. But
The other issue, thing that I had, I think Calvin will, if I understood him right, we've exhausted any possibility of getting money through the First Tennessee Development District for paving 2 of our most important industrial roads, the AFG Road as well as probably, and there's about 2 miles there and probably 1.5 miles or more in Phipps Bend. We might need a committee to go sort of collaborate with the county road committee to see if they would look at some way about, a bond issue like we did it before, or something to that effect, because by the time we get it done, it's gonna be in considerably worse need than what we got now.
If you're gonna do it, I'd go ahead and do it, cause they're gonna start working on budget in the first April.
I will appoint a committee to.
Of course, Calvin would have some specs,
Right.
so he'd need to be a part of that if he'll agree to do it.
Sure. Well, we've got two folks in this room that serve on that, what's the name of that group up there that meet occasionally on road projects?
It's the rural planning organization.
Rural planning organization. And Bill and Calvin both represent us on that, and so they would need to be on that group for sure, and I'll appoint a couple more if you're willing to serve, and we'll do that, because the money's not gonna be there, looks like, from the state, and to do those 2 projects, and we'll see if we, when they do a road budget, we need those to be considered. It's a good point, appreciate you bringing that up. The results are, Glenn Hutchins will be our recommendation for the vacant position on this board, and we will forward that on to the industrial committee of the county commission for their vote at the next meeting. Anybody else have anything?
I'm just gonna throw this out real quick. An adopt a highway program, I don't know how much traction this area's ever gotten or talked about in that regard, but some areas do that, and you could get some industry involved in that regard, at least for the entrance on Phipps Bend, so maybe a possibility.
We've had several people participate in that, but they kind of went away from it a little bit because of the danger.
Right.
So,
Depends on where and
where,
how.
and if you're using the age group that you're getting involved, sometimes they were letting families go out and do it, and they raised the age that the child had to be 18 years old before they could be out there doing it. They hadn't added any new ones. We've got about 12 of those, but they hadn't added any new ones probably in the last 5 or 6 years. But, we can check with them and see.
It's just something worth, maybe revisiting.
And you might get, because of that road, the way, of course, I don't know, I come in there sometimes and they come in there pretty fast, but since that one's not a mainstream road, what we've had better luck doing is either getting, once again, you gotta have adult supervision, but having either one of all the kids have to have 80 hours to graduate, so you can get a beta club or a Boy Scout group or something like that that's got adult supervision that could go in there and do that.
We have to do it every week, or every day.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
You know, in talking about that, I thought about possibly some signage. You know, might help a little bit.
The only thing that's gonna help with the litter is if we can ever get, and it's hard for them to do it because they got so many other obligations, but, you know, if you would give, some tickets, just a few tickets, people get fined, put them in the newspaper, and all of a sudden everybody's afraid to throw anything out because they don't know who's watching. We've got a police station up there, so it might be something that we could ask them to look into. There is, it's a $50 fine, I think is what it is, for littering. So, you know, that might be a possibility if they're up there anyway and see somebody, just go ahead and ticket them and then, like I said, it's just gonna take one time getting in the paper. And those mean people.
$50 doesn't seem, I mean,
Plus fees.
Yeah, it can go up to
Court,
500.
court fees, that's where they get it.
oh,
It ain't gonna be $50.
oh, okay.
No, you'll be paying about $170.
That's
Yeah.
a cigarette butt.
Yeah,
Like we, somewhere like that.
I don't know, but do they ever catch anybody littering? I mean,
They
Does
do, like,
that come up? I never
Sometimes
seen that.
if it's, you know, a lot of people will let a large bag of trash fall off, and it's got their name and information in the bag, and they will fine them, and those have been up to $300 fines.
All right, does anybody else have anything for the good of Hawkins County? Hearing none,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
so moved.
Thank you. Did a good job. You do good. Got one job.